Hats off to you, red, white, and blue. So raise your glass and live it up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark, also known as the Wii Nintendo Game Boy. So in this video, I'm going to elaborate further on the two makeup shows that occurred on Thursday, January 28th, 2016, as a result of the monumental blizzard that paralyzed the Northeast that weekend prior. I alluded to in the other video that the rescheduling was the toughest task, as I kept getting text messages from Dan, our musical director, that we were going to have the shows on January 31st or the 28th. And all of this mess happening partly because our materials were borrowed from MTI. Originally we were supposed to hand in all the materials on the matinee performance the Sunday, the 24th. But after the storm, we were allowed to keep the materials for just a few more days. So once all the mess was cleared and we got everything settled, our musical director confirmed the two shows were going to be on the 28th at 5 o'clock and 8:30 p.m. So our 5 o'clock p.m. show somewhat got off to a rocky start. Our call time was at 3 o'clock p.m., but many cast and crew, myself included, came a little bit later. The house was to be opened at 4:30 for the pre-show, but it ended up being pushed back to maybe around 4:45, 4:50, because some of the tech crew um, couldn't be there. Our pre-show ended up being cut short to just 20 minutes, finally commencing the show around 5:10 p.m. In a nutshell, we had to shake off some rust um, because we pretty much didn't perform the show for 6 days, and in that time between Friday's show and um, the shows on the 28th, we didn't have any rehearsals. So I was a little bit worried, but I got reassurance from some of the cast members that it's like riding a bike again. If you haven't rode a bike in a while, of course you're gonna stumble and fall, but eventually you're gonna get the hang of it. Once again, it's all gonna come back. Cast members throughout the show had to improve lines very quickly on the fly. We had near misses, and I even had to bail out my music director after he forgot to cue us in for first date last night. But overall, we had a good show. We had an underwhelming crowd, only about 20 to 25 people. But what do you expect, when you have a show that takes place during rush hour? You also got many people having classes at that time. But a majority of that 25 people were theater majors and theater professors. In fact, I thought they were a much more rambunctious crowd than the crowd on opening night. So after the show, we only had a small window to rest and recharge and get a photo shoot done. And so in just a few moments, you will be seeing pictures from that photo shoot. We all had to chalk up the missteps during the 5 p.m. show to a learning experience. We all felt like the 8:30 p.m. show was going to be tight since we've shaken off all that rust. We were quite close to selling out that last performance. There were probably around 10 seats unoccupied, according to Dan. In fact, I actually took a peek outside during intermission and before the show, and the majority of the audience were older adults along with a few college students. I couldn't have been any more prouder of this performance. And even though this was our last one, everyone got their lines right, the timing right, and even exiting out the vamps for us in the pit were on point. I was quite taken back, though, at how reserved the crowd was at their reactions. Since this was our third show, I was able to do a little comparison to all the comedic parts and the applause segs of the show. The 8:30 p.m. crowd had to be the most well behaved, quote unquote. Don't get me wrong, there was plenty of laughs among this crowd, but compared to the first two shows, they were pretty quiet. Most of the laughter sounded like one of those, oh, I see what you did there. That's actually quite genius, like as if they got the joke, like right on cue, instead of, oh, my spleen's gonna explode kind of laughter. This crowd also didn't do something that the other crowds did, and that was applauding after Dogfight, with the song Dogfight between Marcy and Rose. Instead, there was kind of more of a "Whoa, did that really just happen?" kind of reaction. So I was like sitting there in the piano, and I was like, "Whoa, they're not clapping. Like they're kind of more. They sound like they're more in shock. I heard like some kind of gasp more than they did clapping." Um, but I know I'm nitpicking at this point, but it's just so interesting to see the different audience reactions to this particular scene or song. I seem to be making a big deal out of it because, simply put, I'm inexperienced when it comes to performing the same show multiple times. My friend Nick, who played Stevens in the show, gave great advice moving forward. Now that the show is done, that I can certainly use in the future. And I think this is great advice to anyone who plans on pursuing musical theater, whether as a performer, a crew member, or a musician, is that you always want to give it your all, 110%, no matter if you perform for 100, 1,000, or two people. Also, every crowd is going to be different, and you're not going to get the same crowd twice. You're going to have dull audiences, and you'll have exciting ones, but in any instance, it's don't let that detract from the task at hand. So that's where I'll leave you at, folks. So here's the plan. I'm going to work backwards with the next few videos. Now that I've explained in as great detail the actual show, I'm going to delve into all the work leading up to the show. It's sort of like Star Wars in a way, where the prequels came after the original trilogy. I'm basically working my way backwards and beginning with my first music rehearsal in early December all the way up to Tech Week. And so that does it for another dogfight video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and I hope you've been enjoying these videos. Please comment your thoughts if you've ever worked with the show, or if you want to give any advice to me, or and basically anybody who may want to pursue musical theater in the future. And subscribe to the We Nintendo Game Boy channel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.